problem. All of the governors of the states have been working on this terrible corruption. So have the attorneys general, so have the sheriffs, and it's not going to continue. The American people are taking back their government, and they are stopping this terrible corruption.
Mm-hmm. You know, as of today, United States is a financial heart of the world. And whether it collapses or keeps on going, it's obviously wrong this much power is concentrated in one place. Asia is a rising monster right now. Could it be that stealing his financial role from the U.S.? Do you think China, for example, could steal its financial role for the United States? Or are they also controlled by the same financial elite you're mentioning?
Well, I can tell you that the Jesuits have a very strong stranglehold on China as well. But I can also tell you that the transition of economic strength from the Western countries to the East is going to happen, but it's going to happen in a smooth way. It's not going to be a transition through a currency war like that terrible corrupt group is trying to manipulate everyone into. No, we're going to have a peaceful power transition this time around. We're not going to have World War III. They tried to pull it off in Syria. They're now thinking they can pull it off in Iran. It's not happening. The citizens of the world see what they're doing, and we're not letting them get away with it this time.
All right, after the break, does gold still shine? And when corruption infests from top to bottom, what does it take to blow the whistle? Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. We're talking to Karen Hughes, World Bank whistleblower. Good to have you back. Foreign governments keep buying U.S. Treasury bonds despite obvious problems U.S. economy is facing. What's making them do that, in your opinion?
I think the biggest market for the Federal Reserve notes is the U.S. Treasury, and there is a glut of dollars right now. But yes, there's also a small market. Unfortunately, the market is weakening as the dollar weakens because of all of this, what they call quantitative easing, where every month so many additional dollars are printed with absolutely no backing.
Mm-hmm. You never told me in the first part, should we be buying gold?
Well, yes and no. I think gold is probably a wise purchase right now, but more as insurance than investment, because there's actually a great deal of gold. There's even more gold than people know about. For example, the amount of gold that's in deposit in the Bank of Hawaii is 170,000 tons. This is more than the World Gold Council says is available for all the gold on Earth. People don't know how much gold there is. There's a lot of gold.
Are you buying gold?
I did, actually, yes, but not because it's an investment, but because I'm not 100% certain that we're going to get our act together before all of the paper fiat currency falls apart. So I see it as insurance, but because of the amount of gold that's actually around in the world, in deposit all over the world, I'm not so sure it's a great investment.
So you think the return to the gold standard is a realistic thing? It could be a possibility?
Well, actually, that's not such a good thing. The currency ought to be backed by value, but there's no reason why it should be restricted to precious metals. It could be any of the commodities that are valuable. But the important thing is that, yes, the currency should be backed by assets rather than by debt, as we now have.
Mm-hmm. But if a financial collapse happens, let's say, right, will gold be of any use? I mean, if there's a shortage of food, and look at the world today, the biggest problem we're facing is the clean drinking water. What's gold going to do about that? Well,
first of all, I think that we're going to manage to get our act together. I'm not expecting a collapse. A very accurate game theory model is showing that we're going to manage to make a transition in a very smooth way. Maybe there'll be a few fits and starts, but I think most of the countries of the world are in favor of working together and not to have a collapse. The only thing that you're seeing is some of these crooks haven't figured out, they haven't seen the writing on the wall, they haven't seen that we understand that there's a way to work together and avoid these problems, which are definitely avoidable.
Mm-hmm. So Karen, you were a senior counselor at the World Bank. Tell me something, honest banking, is this an oxymoron?
No, we have examples all over the place. In the United States, the state of North Dakota has its own state bank, and many of the other states are looking at that. At the moment, 22 other states are looking at it, and we're urging the other 28 states to look at it. There was a bank in Amsterdam that I think went on for 300 years with no problem. We know how to do banking. It should be like infrastructure to support the economy. It shouldn't be for the benefit of elites that think they're above the law, as we currently have. If you look at the Bank for International Settlements, that institution was established when the war reparations were being exacted from Germany after World War I. And that's when it was started in 1930. And I believe it's 60 central banks that are members of the BIS. Those are the culprits. Those are the ones that really need to go out of business.
Now, you first blew the whistle over corruption in the World Bank. Tell us more about your revelations.
Well, that's actually what happened. I was working in the Philippines, and there was a bank. This was at the end of the East Asia financial crisis in the end of the 1990s. And the second largest bank in the Philippines, Philippine National Bank, there was a loan to strengthen the banking sector. And what happened was a man who owned Philippine Airlines, Lucio Tan, ended up buying more than 10% of the shares of Philippine National Bank without informing the securities authorities in the Philippines. That was against the law. And then I told the person who was in charge of the World Bank lending program that they should tell the government of the Philippines that the conditions of the loan were not going to be met. And instead, I was reassigned, and I didn't accept that. So I went to the meeting where it was decided whether or not to disperse the loan. And I said that the board was not being informed that the conditions weren't met. And then what happened was the loan wasn't dispersed, but the people who had their money on deposit in that bank withdrew their money, and the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation had to withdraw, had to back up the bank for $500 million. And then we didn't disperse our loan for $200 million, and the Japanese didn't disperse their loan for $200 million. So that was $900 million worth of poor loan performance. And when the evaluation department in the World Bank said that the World Bank had performed satisfactorily, I corrected that report, and my correction was never given to the board. So that was a cover-up. And I just, you can't have a cover-up in a bank. That shows that money is going the wrong way. And I've been working together with other whistleblowers at the World Bank because we know that the board has to be informed about what's actually going on. Other whistleblowers have reported double accounting. We've reported this to the UK Parliament. I reported it to the European Parliament in 2011. And the European Parliament wrote a letter to the World Bank. I had a very detailed chronology, and the World Bank never responded. And then I've been reporting this to the U.S. Congress, and when the U.S. Congress was asked to give a capital increase to the World Bank, they had asked for a Government Accountability Office audit, which never took place. So I was reporting this to the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, and then I asked the board to require KPMG to do an audit of the World Bank internal controls, and KPMG did not follow the auditing standards. So I reported this to the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. I reported this to the SEC. But since the SEC couldn't be bothered to sort out the insider trading for the Federal Reserve System, they certainly weren't going to straighten out the bonds in the World Bank. So I bought a World Bank bond, and I sued under the securities laws. And I also went to each and every attorney general in the states, and I told the states that they were responsible for making sure that there was accurate financial information going to the bondholders in their states. And I also went to the International Organization of Securities Commissioners. So the World Bank has got to be brought into compliance, and there has to be transparency in the capital markets. And the insider trading of the Federal Reserve System is going to be history in short order.
But do you feel safe after all these leaks? I mean, you were fired.
Well, you know, I've been working with some very wonderful whistleblowers. In particular, I'd like to mention Mark Nowitzki, who's been reporting about insider trading and inaccurate financial reporting for Teletech, which is a company that's been spying on American citizens. So when whistleblowers work together and compare notes and share information, you get a very accurate picture. In addition, I'd like to mention Larry Garrison, who has been my PR guy. So when you have people who you're working with, it's not so easy to shut the whistleblowers down. We've just gained in strength. We're going from strength to strength.
Do you guys feel like you're being heard? Is anything changing?
Well, that's what I'd like to ask your audience.
But do you feel like anything's changing in the system by whistleblowing on it?
Yes, I absolutely do. I think the number of people that are hearing my message and that are looking into this information, and every day they're sending me emails, and they're going out and they're getting their neighbors to find out what's really going on. I don't think this mainstream media is going to have too big of an audience at the rate we're going.
Mm-hmm. You know, there are liberty movements that are actually picking up now, the likes of Bitcoin, for example. Can they ever grow into a solid rival to the conventional system, you think?
I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, yes, as a matter of fact. And there are other similar kinds of payment systems that are now gaining currency. Yes, I think we're going to have a world where there's a lot of choice, and the legal tender is not going to be used to put people into debt and to imprison them. Are
you using Bitcoin as of now?
That's a good question. I'm trying to learn how. It's, you know, yes. There's a conference that's taking place, and I'm going to try to get myself sorted out on that.
Karen, thank you very much for your time. That's all for today. Our guest was a former insider at the World Bank, ex-senior counselor Karen Hughes. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time here on Sophie & Co.